You know, I do have I think, a pretty impressive record for them to look at, and it would start with the fact that I come to the district so much. I've actually been to the district all but 4 weekends since I was sworn in January of last year. I've been to every county multiple times. I had over 110 Harry in your hometown events, meeting with people in groups, small and large, and then individually to talk about their issues. And I don't think that they were accustomed to getting to meet and spend time with their congressman like that, but they adapted really well, and they like that, and we hear a lot of positive comments about that. When I got elected, one of the things that I wanted to be sure to get to do was to represent the veterans. I'm the first member from this district to be on the Veterans Affairs Committee, and I think our veterans are the reason that we have such a wonderful country that we have today. I wanted to be there to fight for them like they've been fighting for us in foreign countries, and be sure that they get the benefits that they earned. Several things that we've been successful with there, the advanced appropriations, to be sure that there's no lack of funding for their health care every year when Congress can't pass the budget, and then to I'm sure all of y'all remember Kyle Barthel, a young man from here that, he was reaching out for some help, and it wasn't there for him, and Kyle took his own life. And we were able to get the language out of the Kyle Barthel Memorial Mental Health Screening Act into the National Defense Authorization Act, to be sure that men and women coming back from a war zone get to have a face-to-face screening with a mental health provider. I think my energy policy, my do everything and do it in New Mexico to create jobs here, whether we're talking about drilling for oil and gas, using nuclear, wind, solar, biofuels, algae, geothermal, all of those things, because every time we create energy in New Mexico or America that we can burn here, well, that's less money that we have to send to countries that don't particularly like us, like Venezuela and Iran and different places. The way it is today with the policies that we have, and the policies that Congressman Pearce endorsed. Every time you go to the gas station, 70 cents of every dollar goes to a foreign country. Also, the border security. It's I was the one that led the charge to get the National Guard sent to the border to protect our citizens and their property. I was the one that led the charge to get the funding for the extra 1,000 Border Patrol agents that are going to be there, the funding for the forward operating bases that are going to be in the boot hill. That also, the other part of that is, to keep our communities safe, like with Katie's Law, to protect. Katie's Law is probably the most important piece of law enforcement legislation to be passed during this Congress, and those are the main thing that you can see that we've accomplished. I think we've had a pretty good record the last 2 years.
I think there are a couple of things. First of all, right now the biggest question is who is going to work to create jobs. The tax cuts of 2003 actually saw a tremendous uptick in our economy. The jobs followed about a year to year and a half later, which is about normal. And that's the question that people want to know. I think also that we can refer them to our willingness to vote against spending increases. I think we as Republicans spent too much money, but also there were attempts inside the party to hold it in check, and we're seeing that almost unabated right now. The $1 trillion, probably closer to $2 trillion deficit is one that's just frightening people to death. So I think that those are the big issues that people are looking at. Peripheral issues, security on the border, we worked hard at that. Veterans Affairs, we worked hard on supporting our veterans, supporting the troops in combat. I think my background as one of the few people in Congress who's ever been in combat, secondly as a business owner, thirdly with a background in economics and MBA in business, and I understand a lot of what we're doing in Washington. And I think that matters to people right now. They're wanting just a firm hand on the tiller as we drive this ship of state forward. I think they've found that with me in the past. Yeah, I think that it would be the economy would be better off without either. I think that that the TARP bailout, the bailout of Wall Street, was misguided. I think that I argued against it internally in our caucus. We're actually 4 different bailout votes. We voted against each one of them because I absolutely believe that the government should not be inserting itself into the private market. We've got examples on that. Japan's economy, they did almost exactly the same thing, put public money into private ventures back in the early 90s. The speculation when I got to Washington was that their economy was broken forever, and we're tampering around with the same thing. The stimulus vote was also a very failed vote. It was supposed to create jobs, has not created a job, and in fact the economics of it are upside down. You create jobs by capital investment of private firms. When the government taxes more, which it had to do in order, or borrow more, which it had to do to pass the stimulus bill, then it takes money out of the stream and then pours it back in. So you can't take away jobs on the one hand and then offer them on the other hand. That's the reason the stimulus didn't work. And it's not going to work if they do it a second time. If we want jobs, we need to lower the tax rates, and especially on capital production. We need to get the government out of the business of conducting a war on our jobs, which they're doing right now. And they're doing it all in the name of regulation, which is designed to protect the environment and protect people. I think that what Americans want us to do now is to find a balance where we create jobs and protect simultaneously. And so I think those are issues in this campaign.
You know, and I'm not totally sure of the TARP bill because that was done before I got there. They voted for half of it then and then half of it after I got there. And so I voted against that TARP bill. But the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, you know, I mean, I think nearly all economists agreed that we needed that. If it hadn't been for that, there was just some information came out last week from the Congressional Budget Office that if it hadn't been for that, there would have been another 2 to 4.8 million jobs lost. So that was definitely a help. When you look around everywhere, and I mean, we could go through the district and talk about communities at a time, you know, every community, but let's just take Las Cruces, you know, and you look at the addition of the 3rd lane to I-10 from Las Cruces to the state line that, you know, created over 200 jobs. You know, the fact that with the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, we were able to create 300 jobs in Eddy County. You know, that's helping create another hundreds of jobs with the algae refineries that are being built in Luna County. So I think as you go down the list that you see a lot of need it would have been a much worse recession had we not had the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. Well, you know, I think that we're moving in the right direction to stimulate jobs in Doñana County right now, you know, with the clean energy and the wind, the solar, and the biofuels that are being built here. Up on West Mesa, we have a clean energy, and algae is being grown there. There's wind and solar opportunities that are coming around, and then also, you know, already that's still there. That's creating jobs is the expansion of I-10. There are jobs being created there, and you know, we have a terrible hole to climb out of on those jobs because of you know, the last half of 2008, the first quarter of 2009, we lost 5 million jobs. You know, and we have a long ways to go. We have a lot of jobs to create, but we're in the process of filling that hole in, and you know, we're already starting to see some results of that as we move along with the economy here.
It's a twofold strategy. You absolutely have to lower taxes. Tax cuts create jobs. Tax increases kill jobs. That's an economic truism that that we know in Washington. It's just hard to live with it. So cut taxes in appropriate ways, and then cut the regulations that are killing jobs. And that's happening all across the spectrum: agriculture, oil and gas, mining, timber. We're really making it difficult for small businesses to survive, and I hear it every day. The health care bill absolutely is going to kill jobs. It's basically a tax increase, and again, tax increases kill jobs. So we should be looking at how to create jobs and find out what we're doing either knowingly or unknowingly in the government that is penalizing jobs, and we should reverse those trends. It's not that complicated.